Welcome to the personal side of business, where you hear real stories from real entrepreneurs. Hi, and welcome to the personal side of business, where every business has a story. I'm your host, Jet Bunditwong. Today, my guest is the owner and CEO of a very successful and award-winning business, VIP Nannies and Household Staffing, which is setting the standard for excellence in childcare and staffing for celebrities, athletes, and high-profile clients. Welcome to the podcast, Rebecca Stewart.
Thank you.
I'm excited. So there's so much I want to know about your business, how you have scaled it to this level. But let's start. How did we get here? Let's talk about you.
We got here by default, like I feel like so many business owners do. I went to college to be a school counselor and to be a basketball coach. That was the dream. One of my colleagues in school went to school to be a teacher. After getting her teaching credential, she became a nanny. After college, I went to the Peace Corps. I was stationed in Paraguay and came home from the Peace Corps, needed a job. And I was like, hey, you got that nanny job. Like, how'd you do that? And I was thinking, I'll go get my master's. I'll be a nanny. So I interview with a family. And before I can even get home, they've called me and said they want to hire you. But during my interview, they said, we don't want you getting your master's or your graduate, doctorate, anything. You know, we want you for us. But it was a weekend job where I was there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, lived there in Bel Air. And I actually did not get into grad school. So I'm like, I'm a nanny. I got this. I did that for a year, took care of small twins. Then I was hired with another family to travel with them. Every time they traveled, I took care of their child. And then I thought to myself, like, I think I could do this. I had met a couple agency owners. I'd walked into a couple agencies, good or bad experiences, and did my due diligence, my research, like, how does this work? Called a hometown bank. I'm from San Luis Obispo, California. I called a small town bank and said, hey, I have this idea, but I need money. Like, I need a business loan. And they said, well, it sounds like you know what you're talking about. And I said, yeah, I just don't know, like, how this works. I don't even know how to pay a business loan back. And they're like, okay. And a couple days later, they're like, yeah, you got approved for funding and start advertising.
And was your only income at that time from Nanny?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
100%.
And they were like, you're good. You're good on this.
Yeah. I mean, I was taking side gigs of babysitting, you know, while I'm developing. But yeah, that literally was like a credit card. I think I might have had one.
Yeah.
And some money in the bank. And after a year of business, I thought I was paying my business loan off, like slowly but surely. And I realized after a year, I was only paying the interest.
I was hoping you were going to say that. That's like the worst nightmare for people to be like, wow, it's all done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Hard lesson. My grandma found out and she was so mad because she taught me, you don't ever pay the bank. The bank can hold your money, but you don't give the bank money. So she paid my business loan off. Her and my grandpa, they were like not happy, supportive. And they were like, and you will pay us back. And I was like, okay. But like, I don't know if I can pay you $100. Like, I don't even know if I could pay you some months, like, but I will pay you off. And I did fully paid them off the loan eventually. And grandpa would always ask every time I came home, how's business? You know, and I generally thought he just wanted his money back, you know, after it was even paid off years later, it was still like, how's business? You know, and here we are 20 years later and they're both in heaven, but they helped me pay my business loan back.
It's amazing. It's always interesting because I think a lot of times when you hear stories about how people become successful, I always believe there's that extra something that needs to go your way. And it's sometimes family members. It's sometimes, someone at the bank that just decides we're going to take a chance on you, or something fell into your lap and you're like, I don't know what this is, but I'm going to take advantage of it. And that's when people start to become that little luck, right, to get successful. And I think it complements the hard work that you do, and then all of a sudden everything starts to work together. I have a question for you. When you were telling about that story, were you thinking you were going to expand into an agency, or you were just like, this is for me, and then I'm going to use this money to figure out as I go? Or did you have sort of like a internal business plan that you were going to expand it to higher staffing and have employees underneath you?
Oh no, it was just me. I was like, this is my business idea. It was VIP Nanny Agency. My mom helped me come up with a name. Okay. I remember pushing a stroller, not my own child at the time, but pushing a stroller on a walk and like, Mom, what would I call it? And she was like, VIP, because the nannies are VIP and your clients are VIP. And I said, oh, love it.
You were targeting more of a high profile client at that time?
No.
Okay.
I thought everyone could afford childcare. I was 23 years old, had just come out of the Peace Corps. So if you know anything about the Peace Corps, it's like you're there to save the world and heal the world and come back, and fluent in Spanish at the time, and thought everyone could afford childcare because I'm 23 years old. And it took a couple of years, and I actually read a book, and I don't even recall the name of it, but it was about targeting a different market. Because in the first few years of business, it's hard, and so going back to your original question, no, I didn't think it was going to be as grandiose as it was. However, at some point along my journey, someone did say, do you have goals? And I was like, I mean, yeah, in my head, like goal. And they're like, no, you need to write them down. In 2010, where do you want to be? In 2015, where do you see yourself? And then just tuck them away. And I was like, oh, okay. And they're like dreams, goals, whatever you want to call it. And I did. Tucked it away. When COVID hit and we left and moved out of our office and all went virtual, I found that. And I was like, oh my gosh, we did that. Like we did the dreams, we did the goals, we hired the staff, we've expanded into other markets. And that was kind of a fun aha moment.
What was a long stretch goal that you reached? You remember?
Hiring employees.
Oh, really?
That's crazy. Yeah. I never thought about that. Internal, like in-office employees, I kind of just thought it was going to be like a one-man show, which is like highly impossible.
I was thinking, how did you think you were going to expand to be in multiple places at the same time?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How we wanted to like place in New York, because a lot of our clients have homes in LA and New York, entertainment industry and filming and whatnot. It's kind of fun to just even think about that right now. Just seeing that piece of paper going like, we did that, And I say we, because it's not just me. I like credit like people who've worked for me, helped me put systems in place, I
was going to ask you, did you have any mentors along the way, or was it just pulling information from moments you had conversations with people?
Yeah.
And then like, I'm going to put this together.
I wish I had mentors. I really wish I had mentors. I think I read some business books. Mm-hmm. I became part of, there's a agency association, like it's a nanny agency association. And this will be our 20th year of business. And I think I've been to 18 years of their conferences. And I've always told myself, I will keep coming to conference if I can learn one thing that I would have never learned anywhere else. Like it's fully worth it if you could learn one thing that you would have never learned. And in 18 years, there's always been at least one or so takeaways. On how to do business. But there's been agencies before I existed. And so I do have colleagues in other markets that I can call upon, DC, Colorado, and just kind of bounce ideas off of.
Yeah. Now, I guess this is where it's a little different for you, right? You're dealing with a certain level of clientele. What is the difference for your industry and then into your business that you have to always be accountable for, right? So I'm guessing scheduling is probably on the fly sometimes. Mm-hmm. You have a lot of people traveling. You have to be a little more white glove in the situation. So can you tell about how you run that business to that level?
You're definitely white glove.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All the way.
Always. Early on, I was always available. And it's crazy to think like 20 years in business, but early on, I was always available. I was single, no kids, no spouse. Like, I did at some point have to start to create boundaries, maybe 9 to 5, maybe sometimes on the weekends. Certain clients just need extra help. Certain clients aren't available during the week, so you need to be available later or weekends. But one of the things that makes it all successful is that we are available. Yeah. Problems arise. Hey, we're gonna travel to Thailand. How do we pay our nanny? We're putting her up in a 5-star hotel. We're feeding her. Well, that's lovely. Treating her like a human is a great thing. But she doesn't get to go to the beach and drink Mai Tais with her friends ever. She's there to work. You know, as luxurious and private jets and all the things, this is their job. You know, they're there to work. And so, you know, this is how they need to be paid accordingly. And just answering questions and being available for things that arise when they do. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's crazy. Just everyone's human.
Yeah.
A billionaire and a housekeeper. They are human beings. One needs staff. One can support in staff in the position, you know, but they're humans.
Yeah. And when I was learning about your agency, I was only thinking about it from one aspect, which was the client side. Now, as you're talking, I'm thinking about it also from your staffing side, because you probably have to figure out the match. Know, hey, this client has more of an attitude towards this way, or a demeanor. This might not be a good fit for this staff, you know, that we have. Is there a certain, I want to say, limit that you go where you're like, you know what, this client can't fit with any of our staff. It's not a good fit for us overall, and vice versa to the staff as well. Like, they're just not a good fit. They're good on paper. They have so much experience, but I don't see them being able to handle this certain pressure situation. Does that ever happen to you?
Yes, both scenarios. So on the client aspect, we'll get a great job. We'll work on it. We think we can help it, but we're getting feedback from the people that are going into the home about how they're being spoken to, how they're being treated, what's being discussed that's not being discussed with us. One client interviewed a nanny and didn't tell us she was pregnant. That's kind of a big deal, especially when you're expecting in like 3 months, you know? So like, you might want to share it's going to be a 2-kid job, you know, pretty soon. But so sometimes, and that wouldn't be a reason why to let a client go, but sometimes clients are showing face to us and treating people a different way. And then eventually it's just, we might not be the right fit for you. And that's okay. There might be another way to find a nanny. I mean, there's plenty of ways to find a nanny. Might be another source. And then on the candidate side, not everyone's a VIP nanny, a VIP housekeeper, a VIP chef. You know, and we'll share that in the notes, like who's ever interviewing in the office, and they're just not VIP. And that's okay. And I think it's been hard for some of the staff because everyone's so loving and accepting, and I mean, we're human, we're kind, we want to get people, we want to help people get a job, but some people just aren't someone that we want to represent, and that's okay. You know, they might be able to find a job in another capacity, and sometimes for us, that's references don't check out. Or it's the way they carry themselves or walk into the office or speak, and I don't say speak. What I mean by that is, I think I'd be a great nanny for a celebrity because I'm just really good at X, Y.
Right.
No, done.
Yeah.
No, done. That would not be.
Now, my question to you next is, what are some of those qualities you're looking for that don't ever show up on paper?
Yeah, that don't show up on paper is a service mentality. I know within 5 minutes of speaking to someone what kind of home and what kind of lifestyle that they're accustomed to working in, what kind of home, fully staffed or not, that they could work in, because some people don't work well with others.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to be in a fully staffed home. That's okay. You know, some people have gone into a fully staffed home and really messed up things, you know. And so we hear that. We hear that from staff members that they've previously worked for or whatnot. So a service mentality is huge. How you speak about your former employers, what sort of jobs you've had in the past. You know, do you know what it's like to travel internationally? Have you ever been on a yacht? Have you flown privately? What's it like to pack and unpack for multiple children? Have you been with a baby 24/7 in the middle of nowhere while parents are shooting a movie and you're on the whole entire time? Or do we need to get in multiple staff members to take care of a child, because that's just how it goes? So knowing, it's like I don't know if my LinkedIn profile still says this, but I used to say matchmaker, and some people got really confused. Like, is she matchmaking now? You know what I mean? Like, is she? You hear
all
matchmaker?
these single men coming to me.
You think dating service, right? And but no, we're legit making a match every day, or attempting to.
Have you had staffing that you were close to getting to hire, but they were missing a certain quality, and you're like, you know what? If I can get someone to train you, you're going to get to that level, right? Is there ever that gap that you end up wanting to fulfill, or do you always go get more experience and come back to us at this?
Yeah, get more experience and come back. There's some people that, for example, nannies who want to transition into newborn care specialists or baby nurses, and you want to go get certified. You want to get every pregnant mom knows 10 other pregnant moms. Every new mom knows a couple of new moms. So get some experience, even in any capacity, because before we'll represent you, you have to have at least 5 years of experience in whatever you're doing. Private chef, private housekeeper, nanny, baby nurse, 5 years of experience minimum, and then come back to us. And I remember a baby nurse many years ago, about 10 years ago, came to me and said, I remember you told me that. I haven't had to call her since. That girl has been booked like back to back to back to. I mean, I have called her a few times for a job, always booked. But I told her that, and she built her career.
Wow, that's amazing. I mean, you can probably, I wonder if you ever look back on your like the connections you've made with people who you've sort of turned down, and they use you as a catalyst to be like, I'm going to do this. This is where I want to get into this industry. She told me I need to do this, and now they're like this example, right? Kind of shifting gears a little bit, from a business owner standpoint, how have you managed along the way to keep scaling? What tools have you used to help you? Have you gone into like hiring certain people, let's say a CPA that will just take care of this, or someone who's going to take care of this side of like, marketing or whatever it is, to just get away from it? Because I'm assuming at the beginning you were running a lot of it yourself.
Yeah, 100%. Someone told me early on, so it's just me, give it 3 to 5 years and you'll have like an aha moment. And it's just a colleague in my industry. And I remember in that it was like between the first and second year, I was like, oh my gosh, can that third year get here? Because what is she talking? Like I was, stressing. And I remember there was a time between that 3 and that 5 year mark. I remember sitting in the office and I remember going, this is what she's talking about, Yes. And there was a time, I think it was when I was pregnant, and a lot of people offered to come help me, come work in the office, come answer the phone, come help me with whatever. And I would help let some people kind of come in, not some, I should say like 1 or 2. And it might have been a fit or it might not have, and then I needed to hire, but I needed to hire staff. We were growing, and hired my first staff member, hired a second, hired a third. I think at the most we had 4 people working in the office.
What was the time period from when you first hired to your fourth
that's
one?
a great question.
A couple of years? Maybe?
Yeah. I think about between 2010, because my son was born in 2012. I think between 2010 and 2018. Wow. So a long period. We were scaling, figuring it out. I mean, we went from, and everyone, like, people will laugh, we went from like binders, 3-ring binders of people, like files and binders.
Clients or staff or both?
Both.
Okay.
People, like the internal staff, I know they're laughing if they're going to watch this next Sunday to this day. But like, we had binders of people, like, we should probably create a system, know?
Yeah.
So obviously, like, we, have a great CRM, but like, I'm older. So like, when you talk to me about like creating a system, I'm like, oh my gosh, what are we doing? And then we customized it, and it's beautiful. I'm so grateful for the staff at the time who implemented that, because then COVID hit. And then no one could come to the office. And if they came to the office, they had to wear a mask. And it allowed us to go virtual. So then everyone could work, not have to come in and mask up and all the things. So
was that when you started developing systems right around COVID?
It was pre-COVID. And that's what I'm telling you. It's such a blessing the way timing worked out, because it was pre-COVID. The systems were in place. They were in motion. And COVID hit, and it hit every business hard, hit us hard, and had to scale back. And everyone, unfortunately, knew that. And but we had that in place and in motion. I remember looking out my window right before we left the office, and I was like, their businesses were empty, looking out my window. And I thought, I feel so blessed that we can leave this office space and still conduct business accordingly.
What was something that you learned from COVID, that period, that might have changed your business for the better?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Because everyone did. It felt like didn't matter what industry you were in. COVID, I think, opened some sort of like, curtain that was like, this is a weakness or the strength of your business, and you can either run with it or you now have to fix this. And I always feel like for you, it's interesting because what you're describing now, you were in an industry where people had to interact with each other still, right? But now you're like, how do we? People must have been terrified at that point. Like we're now the rules have to have changed. Be like, this person probably can't leave our house.
Yeah.
They have to stay with us. Now they can't go and for the weekend if we're paying them from Monday to Friday. Was there anything that you can think of that would you were like, we had to really make a rule for this, and that changed the way we did business?
It wasn't a rule per se, but the industry overall shifted into what we call rotational positions. So a lot of high profile families have a Monday through Friday nanny, and then they'd have a weekend nanny. That is no longer as of COVID, because what they wanted is that nanny to never leave.
Yeah.
And when she left, they anticipated her going back to her house and staying at her house. And then when you come back, you stay at our house. Like during your shift, you would sleep over so you're not getting exposed to other things, right? What that transitioned into, which ended up being, I think, a beautiful thing, is what they call a rotational nanny. So now you have a nanny who comes in for a week and she stays with you, and she might work 7 days a week and come and go. But if you travel a lot, she's usually staying there during her time. And then the following week, a new nanny comes in. So they rotate. And that has become so trendy because families who travel a ton, that work abroad, that film movies, that are on world tours, works beautifully when you have, because no nanny ever burns out. It's like work hard, play hard. Yeah. And everyone wins. The kids win, the nanny wins, the family wins. And so those positions, and they're high paying jobs because that's a lot of hours you're working in a week.
Yeah.
But that became very popular, and it's really stuck. Like some nannies, that fantastic nannies were like, I can't believe I never did this. And I was like, no one really did. Pre-COVID, no one did that. You know what I mean? And they're like, I never want to go back. Like, I only want these kind of positions. And then there's a lot of nannies who want those kind of positions and have never done it. And people are like, oh, we really want someone who's done that. And it's like, it's only been around for like 5 years, So, but it's kind of transitioning into that.
And I've always been curious about this because eventually there's going to be a percentage of your staff that wants to now have their own life, right? So, and they probably have been doing this for years and they're great at it. And you're like, I don't want to lose you, but I can't hold you to this. You have to go. They want to have family and kids and want to go do their own thing. And maybe they want to give it up and go into another industry. What is in your industry, the turnover to the ability to hire? Is it kind of a 1-for-1 thing? Every time someone comes in, there's always someone waiting, or is it harder to find that good staff that you need?
Yeah. Finding good help is hard.
Yeah.
That's why I have a job. I had a client, like, just within the past couple of weeks, was like, we were out with friends and we were talking about how hard it is to find a nanny, and like, we've been looking, and I said, I know. That's why I have a job.
That's right.
And he was like, I know. That's why we called you, and they hired a great nanny. But we are constantly interviewing, But more so than interviewing, we're constantly getting applicants who want us to represent them. So incoming emails, incoming resumes, incoming phone calls. When it was just me, that was all me. And praise God, that's not all me anymore. So I don't do the incoming anything. I want to see, once they've been vetted, once we've been kind of given the green light, hey, Rebecca, you should interview this person. Or, hey, this person's worthy of, if I'm not doing the interview, this person, we should interview them, And then after that, we'll continue on with our process. But, if I'm meeting someone, like, why did I meet her? Like, she hasn't been at a job for, and sometimes that's teaching even internal staff, hey, these people need to be at a job. Like, our clients want to see longevity at a job. They don't want to see 1 year here, 1 year here, 1 year here. No one cares about COVID either. Like, COVID used to be an excuse. Well, they moved to Texas, or, my job ended because of COVID. It's not an excuse anymore. People were keeping their staff and holding tight to them, So clients that are paying a high ticket, they want you to stay with them for a long time. They're looking for that, and that's an interesting quality right now. And people kind of grass is greener type thing.
You mean from the client side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking, it's not just about finding good staff to be in your home, but that trust over time, because you don't know what information, they're sort of a part of the household and family at this point. They know stuff about you.
They know everything.
Yeah. You don't want to.
Everything.
You don't want to
They do
start.
sign NDAs. People are signing NDAs,
Right,
confidentiality
but still,
agreements.
I feel like even if you sign NDAs, there's still this 1% chance in the back of your mind to go, this person has information about me, so we want them to stay with us for 8,
they don't
10
think like
years.
that. They think about that when it ends.
Oh, yeah.
You're living your life.
Yeah.
You want to walk around in your boxer shorts all day? It's your home.
Yeah.
You do you in your home, right? You do have staff. How you decide to treat and live and be is,
Are there conversations with staff from the client side to go, hey, this is the way I live my life? Are you okay with it? Or does the staff usually find out a week after?
Kind of find out on the fly. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, whoa, I did not know.
I think when you interview anyone, you're putting your best foot forward, or you should be.
Yeah,
right?
right,
I mean, if your interview is not good, it's not good.
Yeah.
And nannies will walk away and be like, no, thank you. And I tell them this all the time. Look, if you don't, this is my example. If you interview and you feel like, mom's a little weird, dad's a little weird, it's not for you, it's okay. You just let me know. Clients are saying the same thing. Oh, she just too much personality, not enough personality. Oh my gosh, our dog sat on her lap. She's hired. I've heard all the things. Like, we knew once the dog sat next to her, like she was the one. We're interviewing for a nanny job with a kid, but the dog loves you enough. Like, So, it goes kind of both ways. But yeah, they get to they're there to support you. They're there to, whether they're the chef, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whether they're there to cook meals, whether special diets for whatever you need to be on, raise your kids, take care of your house cleaning. You get to live your life. And then if it's not a fit for the applicant or the person in your home, your staff, they'll move on. I always say this, there's someone for everyone.
Right.
Your level of crazy might not be my level of crazy. Because some people are crazy.
Yeah.
And some people can handle it.
Yeah, you need someone that's going to go in there and be able to absorb that for 7 days a week and walk away from it.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, did you have a good connection into that world when you were younger?
No.
Okay, how can you explain a little bit how this all became about?
I'm from like the most.
Were you door knocking like a real estate agent? Go, hey.
Literally. No, I came from like the most humble. My mom was a career waitress. Retired as a waitress.
Wow.
My dad was a firefighter. My dad was in a mountain biking accident when I was young, when I was 16. He was paralyzed from the neck down. He's been a quadriplegic for 25 years, almost 30 years. And that was life-changing. That brought staff into the home, caregivers, good caregivers, wild caregivers, fun caregivers, But I think that was a glimpse into like people working in your home, right? I think the blessing came when I got my first nanny job. And my parents were like, but you're still going to get your master's degree. I'm like, yeah. I'm making just as much money as I would if I had a master's degree, caring for these, 2 children. And the family I worked for was great. I had a very strict, structured how to conduct myself, where to be at what time. I mean, it was like military style.
Yeah.
In hindsight, that's how every high net worth family runs. That's how every house should be run. And I was, at the time it was like, whoa, this is crazy. But I'm so naive and young and a sponge. I've got this, And so I feel blessed to have been kind of let into that lifestyle early on. So that, and there's been other families I've worked for after that, but to experience that and be exposed to that really set me up for success.
Wow, that's so interesting. Like, if you didn't tell me that, to know that now, for your brain to start to figure out, like, this could be a business, right? To understand that people come to home and have someone get paid to do it and someone's running this. And it's interesting that, I've been thinking about this the whole time you've been talking about that you were trying to be a basketball coach because there's an energy. I think you have to do that to be able to manage people. And I feel like a part of you was probably always able or this need to manage people, and it came out in this way instead of having 15 people on a squad and try to rotate them. You know, it's if you think of it, there's a lot of similarities.
That's so funny. Like
right?
I
Have
think
you
I'm
thought of
today
it?
years old when you just said that. However, I did just coach my son's basketball team this year.
Right.
We made it to the championships.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And I hadn't coached for like 7 years.
Are you using some of your abilities from your company? You're like, we're gonna sit down and talk to you. I want to know. I want to know how you're gonna manage this position if you get into fourth quarter, 30 seconds left.
No, but I can say I made the team because I was the assistant coach, and he was like, "Hey, can you go to recruiting day? And can you I'm like, I'm making my notes. This is who I want on the team. I made the team. I knew what I was doing. We went to the championships. Like, come on.
What were you looking for in your son's team?
Well, you got to have someone in every position.
Right.
You have to have a point guard. My son's super tall, so we knew he'd be like a tall big man, but we need shooters, we need ball handlers. And then you watch kids, just because he's, the shortest kid out there, if he has handles, point guard. So I put, there's one guy I put on the team. I knew no one was going to pick him. Not no one, and coach was like, man, he's pretty good. And
what was it you saw in him?
He could handle the ball. Small, teeny, tiny kid. Handles. When he shot, he could shoot, but he was small. And he was amazing, aggressive. And he had the full package. He just was physically smaller. I mean, there was kids we were playing against. I kid you not, there was a kid, it was like 6'5". A big kid.
Yeah.
And this kid may have came up to his waist, but kid had handles. He could probably beat him down the court.
I wonder if you would have had the reverse, if you would have been the coach first and then started this business later, if you would still look for. I think one of the things I'm starting to learn about you is that you are probably really good at figuring out people and finding the good qualities in them.
Oh
right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I think I'm super optimistic, and I think that's like an innate, or maybe how I was raised. I'm not really sure. Both, always looking for the good in people. There's always something good about people. Everyone's so different. I love learning about people.
Mm-hmm.
I love asking the question, if money wasn't an issue, what would you be doing? What's the dream?
Yeah.
What's the dream that you would do if money wasn't an issue? If you could make money, this and that. People are so fascinating. I mean,
sure.
Just driving around town and businesses, I'm like, oh, that's such a cool business.
Yeah.
You do what? Or like a store closes and one opens, and I'm like, wow, they got a jewelry store? Like, I'm just so fascinated by like how people, I don't say make money because that sounds so cliche, but like, how do they do life?
I mean, this is why I got into this, was that curiosity of what drives people to get, because it's not always about money. Like
No.
you hear everyone talks about it, that you want to make money, and then somewhere along the way money starts to go out the window, whether you're making it or not. You make money, then there's this other issue. You got to deal with these personal things in life and how you're going to get through the business. And then someone isn't making money, there's like, well, what drives you to keep going to this business, right? Because you're not doing it for money anymore. So there's always this back and forth, and I've learned that.
And all money isn't good money.
Right. Some people.
Some of the most stressful people that stress you out, not worth $1.
Yeah. I'm like, why are you doing this? You're unhappy in so many parts of your life, but they're like, oh, I got to pay for this. Or like, you can give all this up and go move somewhere else and, not deal with this. But I think there's this innate genetic makeup in entrepreneurs and business owners that you start to find out after a while talking to so many, that they need to fulfill something. And that's always the thing that I keep trying to figure out, right? I've heard people that it was like, oh, I got cancer and now I'm trying to do it because I want to help people. My family lost their house. I want to do this because I never want to ever not be housed again. I want to have a roof over my head. It's always these little things that something happened when someone was younger Like, you know, I feel like the more you probably on a car ride back to LA, you start to sit back and you go, wow, this is why I'm doing this. It's because there's something sparked this fire in me. I just didn't know it, and then turned into this. So it's always fascinating to me. And I feel like we look at business as money so much now because it's easy to sell on Instagram and TikTok, you know, these stories of people, how to get rich. But it's those people I don't think are truly about whatever it is that's inside of them. They just went after money. But those people that are doing it for this other reason are the people that are going to, when they change lives, be happier, do whatever it is, right? And I have a feeling that you telling me that you were wanting to be a coach is like you wanted to
that
achieve
are like
something.
The most underpaid position in America.
Yeah, right.
Maybe not at the highest level, but you know what I mean, at the low level.
I get it because there's something in you that wanted to help younger people achieve something, and then you're going to get fulfillment out of it too. And then also you were like, I'm doing this because I there's this competitive side and I want to get out there, right? And I'm sure you get to fulfill it with your son's team. You know, you're like, oh, this has been itching at me for.
Oh, it's totally been. It's totally. He was playing basketball pre-COVID, and then COVID hit, so we're gonna keep going back to COVID. But and then he picked up football because that's an outdoor sport, and he could do that. You know, so he found 11 football, and then his friends from football were like, hey, we're gonna play on this basketball team, and one of the dads was coaching, and then knew I have some coaching under my belt, and he was like, do you want to like be my assistant? Like, sure. Well, the reality is I had to be the assistant to get my son off the wait list. So I was like, if I volunteer to coach, can we get off the wait list? They were like, absolutely. And I was like, but will you let me coach? That's really where I was at.
Yeah.
You know, because if he was like, no, then I wouldn't at all. I mean, he's 13 years old at the time. Like in my head, I'm like, no, you don't want your mom coaching your boys? No, but I learned one of the most winning high school basketball teams in the past couple of years had like a head female coach. This is told to me by like a retired NBA player. And I was like, what? We were talking about this because I was kind of like, I don't know if I should coach. And he was like, yes, it's doable. And I was like, oh, okay. So, but again, if my son wanted me to, cool. One of my former players found out I was coaching and she goes, yeah, it's because he knows mom's got skills. And I was like, oh, yeah. Maybe not at 44 anymore, but.
Do you think as a mother and a female coach that there is this compassion that you have towards players that maybe a male coach that
absolutely.
Have, right?
Absolutely.
And
I've read Phil Jackson's book, John Wooden. Like I know I'm a great coach. If we're not talking rec ball, when you only get to hang out once a week and, you know, put a couple plays together. Coaching is so much more than just X's and O's. You get to know your players. You get to know their personality, what their strengths, their weaknesses are. You know, some kids thrive on you screaming at them, you know, and some kids need to be just slightly told what to do in a different way. And some kids, you know, coaches make or break your future. The way they speak to you, the way they treat you, the way they treat the whole team. I had a volleyball coach who just screamed the whole entire time. Stopped playing volleyball my sophomore year of high school.
It's interesting that you say that because there is, what's that documentary on Netflix? It's like University or something along that. They would follow the different basketball and like junior college teams. And the way that some of those kids were handled, I mean, some of them, they would just get yelled at and they were like, I quit, right? And you probably needed, as a coach, to look at those kids and be like, that's not how, this kid's probably been through a lot. Everything in his life has led up to him just letting him down. He misses this fourth quarter, whatever it is, and then now the coach is like, you suck. That's not really where it needs to be. But then there's kids in there that thrive off of that. Like the coach is yelling at them, they're like, I'm going to be better, right? So, but I think there's this, you know, watching sports and being sports from when I was younger, I think it gets passed on to generation after generation of male coaches. Like, this is what we got to do. Just yell at them. Like, why are you yelling at me? Like, it's not, I know him. Like, I played with this guy for like 4 years. He's not, this is not going to help him, right? But they're like, I'm going to try to get 80% of you guys to be able to move forward.
I coached at an all-girls school for a couple of years, and we had she was very athletic. But the pressure from her parents to perform at every athletic event, she did track, she did basketball, She was missing practice to go to tutoring so she could get into a certain high school. It was too much for her. It was too much over time. And I understood that. Then there's other kids who have, these are my faves, that have the attitude that they think they're like Kobe Bryant, the female version, with attitude. Treat their teammates. Oh, no. No, you're going to sit the bench. This had turned into a sports talk. But you know what I mean? Like, it's just all, and I know, and it goes into business, but it's managing, it's pick up and go on the fly. And how are you going to move and pivot? And life happens. People call, people throw curveballs, people quit, people get fired. It's like,
for sure. I mean,
keeping the head on the swivel.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of what you're doing in both areas are so important to be able to, I think for you to keep calm, right? Because everyone's looking at you like, hey, when this happens, what are we doing, right? And then you're like, I got to make split decisions in literally 30 seconds whether or not we're going to go in this direction. What has been something that you've had to adjust in your mentality as this business has scaled? Like, is there something that you've like, I have to change this about me in order for this business to keep functioning? Or you're like, I have to do this in order for this business to keep functioning?
Yeah, a couple of things. Therapy helps. Okay. I think I'm such a component of therapy. Also went to school to be a therapist. But therapy really helps. 2, putting yourself in the environment. Like I said, I worked in Bel Air. I know it was a long time ago, but childcare doesn't change too much. Putting yourself in the environment, being around successful people, however you can get around successful people. We've been doing childcare for the Los Angeles Rams for 9 years, being around a ton of athletes. How do you conduct yourself? What are they looking for? It's a lot different than what a married couple in tech is looking for, and not everyone can afford childcare, and the kind of candidate we're looking for is high value. They're in high demand. If they don't get hired, like right after the interview, they're probably getting hired by someone else that same week. We're kind of on a time crunch, both parties. Like, this isn't like, oh, there's plenty of fabulous jobs. There's not a lot of jobs in the world. We know this right now, right? There's not a lot of people, when they talk about the 1%, right? Oh, the 1%, this and that. I'll give us a little bit, 5% that we work with, right? Top 5%. There's only like 5% of people that can do that job too. There isn't like tons of people that can do this job. And so finding the best of the best, and we have great clients and we have great candidates, and then making that match.
It's great to hear. I mean, it's got to be, when you were talking about how athletes or anyone, celebrities, right? I've said this before, that it must be so hard to be in that position in terms of dealing with life, because you don't get to just go out and do regular things. And you don't, and if someone from the Rams goes out and wants to go to Vaughn's, which I doubt that ever happens, but you're like, right. And you're like, I can't, 10 people coming up to me, I just want to look at some cheese or something, It's to start to wrap up. You can go back to your, that 24-year-old, 25-year-old self before this started to just expand. What advice would you give to your younger self?
I would say you've got this. It's all going to be okay. It's not rocket science. It's like rocket science. And I don't mean that by like what I do. I think in hindsight, when I look back, I was just doing it. I don't know. I don't know what I was doing, to be honest. I was just thinking I was doing the right thing. And I think just being my own cheerleader, like, you've got this, it's going to be okay. Nothing real, cliche, but I mean, I love what I do. Someone asked me recently, what would you do if you weren't doing this? And I was like, I have no idea. Because it's fun. I love my job.
That's awesome. Now, how can everyone get in touch with you, find you?
Oh, yeah. So on any socials, we're on Instagram, VIP Nannies LA. And then our website, VIPNannyAgency.com. And All
right. Well, thank you so much, Rebecca, for coming on podcast. Loved it. I think this is going to be fantastic listen for anyone out there.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. This is Personal Side of Business.